Hello everyone, welcome to Liberal Tarot. I'm Sherry. I'm a blue dot in a red state utilizing Tarot to help us navigate these very interesting times we have going on here in the United States. So I'm really glad that you're here and welcome. And if I could just ask you like and subscribe, helps me to grow my channel. Okay, the focus of today's reading is going to be the U.S. involvement in the Israel-Iran conflict. Okay, I did kind of a check-in reading earlier this week, which was it was the second part of that reading I did with Trump and the world stage, or falling off the world stage as it seemed to be, and it was the second part of that. And I just kind of did a kind of an overview, like what is this going to look like? And kind of what I got was, Trump really would like for there to be diplomacy. There wasn't really anything about imminent bombing that came up in that. There was a lot of back and forth type stuff, and that is what we're seeing. Absolutely. I don't like reading on like war conflict type stuff because it's very chaotic, and then you add in Trump to that. I mean, it's like spin the wheel. And as I was telling my husband, before, I used to see, whenever I would say spin the wheel, I would see like literally like, Wheel of Fortune type, spin the wheel. However, I think a more accurate analogy would be like the roulette wheel, whenever that ball is just bouncing all over the place and it's like, where's it going to land? I have no idea. And I mean, like any one of those things is a viable option. So I guess I'm saying all that to preface, I will do my best, to kind of look at this and kind of see, kind of generally what we're looking at. I will say that, I did that reading and I was like, I don't know what the fuss is. Cause I mean, from the news that was being reported, it was like breaking news, all of this. And I'm like, in the cards, I'm like, I'm just not getting anything. And it turns out that kind of is what, this week has been, I guess. Let's see, I'm recording this on June 19th. So happy Juneteenth to everyone. And that other reading I did was on Monday, and that was, let's see, the 16th. So, from the 16th to the 19th, that's kind of what we've been seeing, is just a lot of bouncing all over the place, back and forth, So what I want to do is I've decided to go ahead and do this reading because I know it's definitely of great national interest, and I will do my best. That's what I can say. I will do my best to read this. He's all over the place. So I will see what I get. Okay. As always, this is for entertainment purposes only. I just want to do a base reading and I kind of want to do more of the involvement of the U.S. That's kind of more I want to know, is the involvement. Like, are we going to do diplomacy first? Are we going, there's reports that, maybe we're going to bomb this weekend. Maybe it's going to be in 2 weeks. Maybe we're going to bomb and then try diplomacy. The reporting, it's all over the place. Okay. So, let's just look generally over this next, let's say week. Okay. This next week, including this weekend, what is the United States involvement between Israel and Iran looking like? Okay. Let's just look at that. Okay, and as I said, as always, this is for entertainment purposes only. So the very center of this is, you've got diplomacy. That's going to be the first thing I think of, because the Three of Wands is going to be about talking. This is literally a card looking into the future, looking at, ships coming in. Okay, so, and then you've got the 3 there. Now, I did get that there was going to have to be another country involved in this, because it was just too complex for Donald there to really, wrap his mind around. Instead of a country, I'm going to say, we're going to be involved in diplomacy, but there's going to be others involved. It's not going to just be, the United States. Okay. But, so you've got, at least Israel and Iran here with another country or delegation of countries trying to do work on diplomacy. Okay, that's going to be that very first card there. But the challenge to this is the Queen of Cups. And I kind of wonder, this is going to be the emotional caretaker. Usually I get Trump as the King of Cups. So I'm wondering if this is not Trump in even more of a diminished state. That he's really not, he's slipping. Okay. So I want to put more cards out to see, because that would make sense. If the challenge is going to be, you've got a leader that's just not, he's just not there. Okay. The options. Do we use military or not? That's going to be, I have been kind of seeing this as the military card, but I also will say, you would think the Knight of Swords, like if this was the Knight of Swords, I'd be like, oh no, because that's like irrational behavior. That's like rash. That's like charging in, not thinking, ahead of, what you're going to do. This is actually saying, showing a little bit of restraint. It's not, the military's on standby. Okay. The other thing with the Knight of Wands is that this could go along with the messaging. This could go along with the diplomacy, big action needing to be taken. It's all, messaging. We're going to try diplomacy first. But, the problem is you've got, Dawn in there, and as I'm looking at this card, that Queen of Cups, this should be someone who is caring and nurturing. However, in a lower energy, it's like, what can you do for me? Okay. That's what I'm feeling with this. So, instead of being like the leader in charge that's leading the, diplomatic, mission here, this is more of he sees diplomacy as, these countries telling him what they're going to do for him. Okay. That's the challenge. That is not diplomacy. So he's like in his own way. He's getting in the way. Okay. With diplomacy. The past experiences, walking away. And he has said that. He has said, I'm done. I just want to walk away. And you can't put he has put the country in this position to play diplomat, but then he's just like, throws his arms up and is just like, I'm done. And in that original reading, I did get, this is just too complex of an issue for him to understand. He's trying to see, this in black and white rather than the nuanced shades that is the Middle East. This is a very layered, complicated region. It isn't just as simple as, as this one conflict. Okay. So he just doesn't understand it. He's getting frustrated with it. I think he kind of liked that the news, moved off of his sad little parade for a while, but now, he's ready to go on to something else. That's the feeling I'm getting with that. The recent influences are, what can you do for me? Okay. Diplomacy. He wants to hold all the cards. He wants, there to be, he wants to be the one to decide the balance of the scales here, the justice card. Okay. How do we keep things, whenever he wants to keep things fair and balanced, that's like for him. Okay. And if we're going to kind of look outside of, just Trump, here, the recent influences are there was, to say that there's peace in the Middle East, there's never been peace in the Middle East. There's not going to be long-lasting peace. We have moments of peace, okay, in pockets of little different areas, okay? So this is, there's money. There's something that has to do with the money. I know that, Russia and Iran have, deals going on there, concerning drones and, so, I'm kind of wondering, how is money going to be playing a part of this? Okay. And then the potential, what are we going to do? Trump has said he is not going to commit to anything for 2 weeks, but yet he signed the plans, but then he might bomb this weekend, but then he wants to walk away from the whole thing. And, he's just really emotional because he wants diplomacy to, work, but he's got those, he really wants to use those, bunker bombs, busting bombs, whatever those things are called. So the military's on standby. Do you see how this is just, it just bounces all over the place. And I was also, asking, like, what is the United States involvement going to be? It's going to be the money. Who can give him, what he wants? If Iran would sign that, that nuclear oversight thing that he's wanting, then he'd probably sign with them. If they don't, then that's the ultimate, you either give me what I want or we're going to, use our military. And this is telling me the Page of Swords. Oh my God, Pete Hesgeth in charge of this. He can't even do a damn parade. So this is like, we're not sending our best. Pete Hesgeth is not the best. This is also someone you don't want to go into battle with. And I was asking from the United States standpoint, there may be, like, he wants to use those bombs. I wouldn't surprise me in the least that doesn't happen. But as far as long-term involvement, the United States is not a long-term partner in this, okay? I'm just not seeing that beyond that initial, he gets to use, the bombs and gets that, propaganda footage. That's what he's all about. So let's see here. What do I want to do with this? I want to know more about this Page of Swords. I just want some clarification on that. Page of Swords. What is the Page of Swords? Finding that right moment, finding that path. This could also be under the dark of night. Let's pull that down a little bit. For, finding that right time. If they do the bombing, it's going to be, typically bombing is at night. The Tower card, they're going to use those bombs. I mean, that's just all there is to it. He's itching to do that. They're going to do that. He's going to do that. He's going to give that order to do that. Okay, so let me just ask about this Tower card. Is that going to be this weekend? Okay, and that being this weekend, things are, he's not, he really is not, he's like, everything's fine, not telling anyone. I don't know. I'm not getting real strong feelings that it's going to be this weekend. You get that he wants to. He definitely wants to, but this isn't a real strong commitment at this point on today, which is, June 19th. It's kind of like waiting for the right time. I think trying to give diplomacy a chance, that 2-week mark, and he's not going to be happy with how things have progressed. So, but at the same time, would I be surprised if he didn't do it this weekend? Sure. It's safe to say that at some point he is going to order at least, one, I don't even know what you call it, one mission with I just keep, those bunker busting bombs. Like, he wants that propaganda footage. Okay. So that's kind of, yes, he's going to do that. Do I think it's going to be this weekend? Would it surprise me? No. Would it also not surprise me if he waited 2 weeks? No, that wouldn't surprise me either. When he said he doesn't know what he's going to do and he waits until the last second to do it, that is what that is. I think it's whoever is the last person to speak to him is who, that's actually been very well reported, that's what he does. It's like whatever that last voice is in his head is kind of where he, trots off to. So put those cards back. I am curious, did Trump know that Israel was going to start this with Iran? He said he knew, but it was kind of like such a surprise. Like, we didn't have anything that I saw that, warnings that this was going to happen. So in the news media, did Trump know, and I'm just going to do 3 cards, that that Israel was going to do this? Did Trump know? Okay, and did he know? Trying to overcome Israel very quickly. I don't think he knew. This was a surprise. It was a quick surprise. If he did know, it was kind of like they were either getting ready to start, or they, it's like, oh, thought I'd give you a heads up. I just pushed the button. I just gave the order. It was like, I think it was, it was a surprise. Okay. Now, between him knowing and it happening, I think that's where, like, technically, did he know it before it happened? Okay, maybe, but it was not by much, if at all. Okay, I'm feeling with this card here and the quick card, I'm thinking like minutes. Like he knew, if he knew, it was like minutes before it happened. Okay, will there be an agreement reached in 2 weeks? Will there be will that diplomacy work? Will there be some kind of agreement within 2 weeks? Because that's what Trump is saying, that he wants this to be done in 2 weeks. You notice everything's in 2 weeks. Still, that healthcare plan, 2 weeks. Infrastructure week, 2 weeks. So now, we're on this now, 2 weeks in with this Israel-Iran conflict. This has typically been my yes card, but this is also a card of basically, if this is Trump, it's throwing a temper tantrum. The reason I say this is it just has always been my yes card. So is because like something being offered of substance. But when it comes to Trump, I kind of lean more into the childlike emotional, outbursts and behavior. Okay. So let's see. 2 weeks. Drunk on power. On one side, this should just be the happiness card. But with Trump, it's gluttony. And that's why I always call it drunk on power. Okay. So temper tantrum, drunk on power. That's the challenge of, he wants to be the strong man, but he's not. He's so not. The options, planting seeds for the future. And I wonder if this isn't going to be like other countries being involved. I know that the G7, they signed a statement, which ended up just being the 6 countries of de-escalation. Like really, that Middle East needs to de-escalate this situation now. So I'm kind of wondering if this isn't other people, other countries being involved for a diplomatic solution. Okay. The past, the Middle East, it's a burden. Okay. That's what there's always conflict and war going on in the Middle East. Okay. And as long as you have religion involved in that, these are religious wars. There is not going to be peace, okay, unless you come up with a religious, solution. A secular solution is not going to solve a religious problem, okay? That's that's just the way that's been for 2,000 years. It's going to be like that, until, as I said, until religion is no longer the reason for the war, okay? So past experiences, always a conflict of some kind in the region. Recent influences. The recent influences are, if you look at the work that President Jimmy Carter did, he did, those, that peace between Israel and Egypt still stands. So, if you want to look at that as like the golden standard, it is possible. But and like the world would like to have a stable Middle East. So I'm looking at this and it's like, 4 is a stability. This is communications, negotiations. So I think that they are going to try to do negotiations, but I'm just not, other countries are going to have to be involved. It just cannot be, the best thing to do would be for, Donald there just to keep his mouth shut and let the adults, deal with this. Okay. And then the outcome with a potential 2 weeks back and forth. I don't think that this is going to be done in 2 weeks. Okay. You get 2 sides navigating troubled waters. I think that there's some talks. Trump running his mouth here in the center is not helping. But other countries being involved, trying to create, some kind of, I'm almost feeling like peace treaty would be going too far. Maybe we're just going to stop what we're doing right now is kind of more the feeling that I've got there. Okay. With that. And once again, with 2 weeks, there's nothing here about bombing. This really is showing if you take Trump out of it, now that all these other cards are out, I really do see that as Trump. take these cards out of, him drunk on power, throwing his little temper tantrum. I want my nuclear deals, oversight agreement. That's what he wants. He's going to be throwing a fit about that. Okay. So that's how Netanyahu got him involved. Okay. Is, trying to get this deal, which he's not going to get. Okay. As far as stopping this conflict, there's going to be, I've thought, in the other reading, other countries were going to have to be involved for this. There's always been conflict in the Middle East, but this is, that Two of Pentacles going back and forth. At least there's some kind of talks in, navigating these troubled waters. The Pentacles are going to be that tangible stuff. So, maybe like prisoners exchange to bring it to an end, like that kind of stuff. But I don't see there being like, is Trump, I'm just going to ask 3 cards. Is Trump going to get his, nuclear weapon oversight deal that he wants so bad? Because he thinks whatever Obama did, he can do better. And the only thing, he's just delusional. So, delusional Don. Okay, so is he going to get his oversight of the nuclear programs there? And that oversight, he wants it. He's passionate about it, but it remains elusive. It remains hidden. I think that it's almost like Iran they were very willing in the past and they had that deal, and then he ripped it up and threw it away. And now it's like, I didn't get that before in the other reading that they were going to give that to him. So no, I don't think that they're going to give that to Trump. They may do this with a different coalition of countries. Like, as long as Trump's not involved, they may do that. Okay, it's that kind of feeling. So it's not that the answer is no, it's no to Trump. Okay. So, let me see. I got notes here that I kind of want to look through. What will our involvement be? Just kind of interested in, like beyond this. Is this going to be long-term involvement, short-term involvement? I mean, I got to tell you, with Trump, I'm not seeing long-term involvement in anything right now, because he is melting down right before our eyes. So long-term involvement between Israel and Iran. And long-term happiness, drunk on power no, it's not. No. There may be, it's like, I don't see just, we're not going to get dragged into another Middle Eastern war. There may be some support. I'm thinking, this is the fox is loose in the hen house. So whatever Trump says, don't trust. I mean, that's really what I'm feeling here is, as far as our involvement, it's going to be as long as Trump is getting what he wants. Okay, that's the feeling I'm getting with this. So I don't know that it's like the involvement's not necessarily going to be military. I just am not getting a real strong. It's like lies and deception. That's what I'm feeling with that. And that it doesn't go anywhere. And, he's drunk on power, but I think he likes playing at it, and he likes keeping everything chaotic, but I just don't see us being involved in that long term. Okay. So, yeah, with that, I'm going to kind of just go with that original reading, which is, this is too complex of a situation. I just don't see him being one. He can't stay on message. Okay, he can't stay on message. He can't. This is not something that he is capable of dealing with. Okay, I don't know that the people around him are capable of dealing with this, quite honest. Which is why, Marco Rubio, I mean, maybe, but if he didn't have to deal with Trump, he maybe. But you've got Trump in there, and honestly, I really think any negotiations is going to have to come from like other countries. I just don't see the United States being able to do that because Trump is all over the place. I decide 1 second before what I'm going to do is what I'm going to do, but then I've signed these. I've already signed this, but then it may be this weekend, but maybe 2 weeks. Everything's 2 weeks. So, trying to read on that is just, it's chaotic. So what I can say overall, big picture, is I think that he really does want to use those bombs. And I think that is going to happen. Is it going to be this weekend? Is it going to be in 2 weeks? That was like, when he does, I will say, when he does do it, it's going to be at night. Okay. So I will say that. Night for them. Okay. Diplomacy, it's got to come from other countries. Our long-term involvement, we're always going to be involved in the Middle East, but this specific conflict, I just don't see us. It's not going to be boots on the ground for like 12 years, okay? That I'm not seeing, okay? So I will keep watching this. As I said, it's really hard to read on because war is chaotic, and then Trump is chaotic, and he's all over the place. So it's really hard to see kind of where things land. But this reading is pretty much what I got the other time, and it's going to give us a pretty good, big picture idea, okay, on that. So that's what I'm getting. Now, I did not ask specifically about Tulsi Gabbard or Elon Musk with this because that's going to be the next reading. And I am going to be doing a series. I'm going to tease my next group of readings. It's going to be Celebrity Apprentice White House Edition. Who is going to be the first to go? And what I've done is I've kind of divided that up into, it's going to be a series of 3 readings between the MAGA or the Tulsi Gabbard, with that, and the military, immigration, and also the trade and economy. Okay, and then I'm saving Tulsi for something else. That's why I didn't ask about her in this with the nuclear weapons. That's going to be another reading. Okay. So thank you for joining me. I really do appreciate you being here. Like, subscribe, and I will put that other reading up here, Trump on the world stage, because that's and it's the second part of that. The first part's funny, but it's the second part of that one that I'm just kind of doing an update for that. And then I'm subscribed. So thank you for joining me, and I will catch you on the next reading.